It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here is WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. I have the pleasure once again of welcoming Lee Anderson and Patti White. They are the co-founders and co-directors of the Annapolis Film Festival. I'm speaking to them today because the Annapolis Film Festival is April 8th through the 18th. It's right around the corner, and you ladies are completely ready, sitting back and relaxing now, yes?
No, right. Never. No rest for the weary around here.
All right, so we know that we are still in the midst of a pandemic, and this is now the second year that the Annapolis Film Festival will be virtual, but it doesn't mean that some of the things that we love most about the festival aren't included, right?
Well, and a couple improvements. Way better platform. It's available on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire, and we have 10 days to watch the films and over 100 films to watch.
That's amazing. And okay, so let's talk about the technology, because sometimes it's not always easy to figure out how to see these films. Tell me how all this is going to work.
Eventive is an app. If you go on your Roku or your Apple TV or Amazon Fire, you will be able to download the Eventive app, and then you look for the Annapolis Film Festival channel on that app. And so you can watch this on big smart TVs instead of just your laptop this year. Or you can watch it on your laptop. Either way, it should be much easier. But we're going to have a practice day this year on April 6th for anybody who has anxiety about getting on the platform. That's our practice day.
That's me. I'm raising my hand. I have anxiety about it. Eventive, it's called, Eventive. So when I go onto my Apple TV, I will look for that in the apps, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm looking forward to the tryout round on April 6th, you said, for those that have anxiety.
Exactly. We want to get rid of all those issues ahead of time.
Okay, so let's hear about the opening night. Let's hear about the opening night film.
Okay. So the opening night film this year is called Marvelous and the Black Hole, and it's a charming family comedy drama that's premiered this year at Sundance, and we're excited to get it. Really just off Sundance. And it stars Rhea Perlman and Maya Koch, or Czech, I think is the way she pronounces her name. She's on the current television show The Astronauts. So she plays an angry, rebellious teenager who's just lost her mother, and she's very unhappy at this moment in her family, at school. Everything is wrong. You know, you've got the picture.
That's so unusual.
Exactly. And she then meets this eccentric magician who's played by Rhea Perlman. And as Rhea said before in interviews, she's never played really a character like this because it's a very quirky and sort of helpful kind of character. And she, in the process, helps her reconnect to her life and what life is about. And it's great. And it's directed by Kate Song. And then it's going to be, we just found out that we have a pre-recorded Q&A with Kate and with the two actors, Rhea Perlman and Maya Koch. So we're really excited
just found that out.
So we have a real opening
very
night.
Short time ago.
So although it airs on April 8th at 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock, yes.
7 o'clock. Do those that purchase passes, will they get to see it like the following day if they're busy at 7 p.m. on April 8th?
24 hours.
Let me clarify that
film will be available. Well, it's 24 hours.
However,
that film will be available.
However, just having a pass does not get you into opening night. You must reserve your seat. It's true for every show. So it's different this year because people usually are just used to, I have a pass and I can walk in. It's not like that. Even though we're virtual, there are specific numbers of seats and geolocated areas we can show the film. So we're good in Maryland, D.C., and Northern Virginia.
I do think people need to know that they can go on and try to get a pass. If they have a pass or a ticket pass, they can go on any time during that 10 days, even if they haven't signed up. If the tickets are available, they'll get in. But, you know, some of them that have caps may not be available. That's what they need to know. So if you know what you want to see, better to reserve.
Okay, I know what I want to see.
Right.
This one immediately appealed to me. It's not an animal movie. It's not an environmental movie. But the journalist in me, the introverted journalist in me, saw when an introverted editor locks himself out of his apartment, he's forced to confront the world he's been avoiding in search of a way back inside. Yes, it appeals to me as a journalist. It also appeals to me as anyone that's lived through this pandemic needing the outside world.
Exactly. It's funny to see someone who really doesn't love to connect with the outside world be forced to because he can't get into his house.
Right. Which, from both of you, can either, I ask this every year, and every year you hem and haw because it's tough for you to say one film. What's the one you are most, that you haven't seen yet, you're most excited about? Lee.
Oh, God. That's a tough one. I mean, there are some I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen the opening night film, so I'm excited to see that. But there are over 100 films, so that's nearly impossible.
Patti?
I have a film, I've seen everything, and except for one film, I think, and Marvelous is it was my favorite film up at Sundance. I loved it this year, but I have quite a few films that I think are so really terrific, and there's one that we just don't have yet, and we don't know for sure if we're getting it, that I really love, a documentary that I'm trying to pull in. That might be the one.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back on the 1430 Connection. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Lee Anderson and Patti White. They're co-founders and co-directors of the Annapolis Film Festival. It runs April 8th through 18th. Over 100 films. Passes are available currently. Let's talk prices on passes.
$115, and you can watch everything if you have the time.
And you still have to RSVP.
And tickets are $10. Yeah, okay. And tickets are $10.
And tickets are $10. Right. You can get a 4-pack of tickets for $35. And this year you can get a shorts-only pass and watch all the shorts for $50.
All of this information is at AnnapolisFilmFestival.org, yes?
Yes, it is. And there are 3 ways to look at the schedule. There's the schedule, the virtual festival that kind of takes you through the order of things and sort of pulls out the opening night, the spotlights, the showcases, and then doc features, narrative features, shorts programs. So the way it's going to work is after opening night, each day at 9 o'clock in the morning, various programs will be released. We're releasing 1 shorts program a day, and we'll stay up after that. So shorts 1 is on Friday, shorts 2 is on Saturday, etc. They're up for the duration. Every night at 7 o'clock will be a spotlight film, and then it'll be up for at least 24 hours. So not every film is up for 10 days. So people have to really read the schedule carefully and see what they want to watch and when. But what they need to know is once you reserve your film and you unlock it, when you click play, you have 24 hours to watch that. So, and then, you can't watch it a second time. You only get to watch it once.
We always forget, and I want to make sure we get this in this year, that just to go over, because we have really cool themes for our shorts programs this year, and I just want to tell you what each program was named, because it just brings it to life, particularly since we have a shorts pass, and our director of programming, Derek Horn, who's such a shorts specialist, he never gets the credit for any of this. So shorts program 1 is called, they're all named after television reality shows and game shows, since we've all been locked home and watching the tube. So we thought last year they were named after movies. This year they're named after television iconic shows. So the shorts program 1 is Survivor.
The first one is called
2
Survivor.
Is Jeopardy. Survivor. The second one is Jeopardy. The third one is Family Feud. The fourth one is Big Brother. The fifth one is Extreme Makeover. The sixth one is Fear Factor. And then we go into, The Price is Right is number 7. And then we have Maryland's Got Talent, which is our local shorts program. And then we have Shorts Before Features, which is what we're calling reruns. And those are all the films that show before a feature film. So that's our shorts epic this year, and they're great. So people should really try to watch them.
You've always been great about diversity of films and something for everyone. But this year you've actually pointed out the films come from 35 countries, from Australia to the USA, Denmark, Egypt, Finland, Ghana, India, Iran, Israel, Italy, Kazakhstan, Latvia. The list goes on. Is this more international films than before ever?
Yes,
Totally.
It is.
And
totally.
why?
Because of the pandemic, a lot of the top-notch films that were made this year were international. You know, Hollywood it cranked down this year. It shut down. And they only made a couple of films in this country this year until much later.
Right.
And internationally as well, but they made a lot more. And so what we're looking at are films that finished at the end of 2019 and 2020, the beginning of 2020, and that were in editing.
Okay.
So that's the complicated piece of this.
We're getting something where we haven't gotten before. So while it might be more complicated or unfortunate that we couldn't get as much out of Hollywood, we're getting so much more internationally.
Yeah, we are, and we're getting a lot of fresh voices and new independent films from fresh voices. Internationally and here in this country, because a lot of films weren't made.
All right, let's take another quick break. When we get back, I want to hear about an old friend to the festival and what he's bringing with him this time. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole, talking today to Lee Anderson and Patti White. They're co-founders and co-directors of the Annapolis Film Festival. That runs April 8th through 18th. All you need to know about it is on AnnapolisFilmFestival.org, and to buy passes, individual tickets or 4-packs, and check out the films in advance to see which ones you want to see. James Burns is coming back to the festival. That's the old friend I was talking about. Patti, this one is on you because there's a direct relationship to your son.
Right, and to us. Actually, Lee and I made a documentary about him when he was 11 years old. So basically, James has 2 films in the festival this year. One of them is The Water Walker, which will be in our environmental showcase in front of our feature. And that's about a young girl. She's from the Native American population and protecting the water right. So that's that film. And then he has another film called The Box, which is about solitary confinement, of which he is himself a character in that film. His story is also in it, and it's in one of the shorts packages.
He has some experience with prison.
He sure does. With solitary confinement, he has experience with.
He was put in solitary as a 14-year-old boy.
So that's a powerful, powerful film that we hope people will get a chance to watch. And it premieres at South by Southwest now, and The Water Walker premiered at Toronto this year. So these are films that are, on the scene, so to speak.
Now, James is just getting better and better as a filmmaker. He's just really has such a clear and strong voice, and he's so interestingly visual in his interpretation of story. He's just really talented.
How have you all survived through the pandemic? Because last year's film festival was virtual. It couldn't have been easy for you to do on year one of going virtual, but you've come back and you're doing it again. How has this worked for both of you? It had to have been very stressful.
Well, every year it's stressful, but this added a whole other element to it. But, we've been saying this as much as we can. We would be dead on arrival without the Arts Council of Anne Arundel County and the Maryland State Arts Council, especially this year, because they really stepped up for the arts, not just for us, but artists all over Maryland, because artists have been so hard hit by this pandemic, because if they can't get paid for their art, they're usually gig workers, and they provided some emergency funding. It's still not enough. We don't have our full staff. We're scaled back. We're doing the best we can and working really hard, but without their help, we wouldn't be here. And the Arts Council of Anne Arundel County is our presenting sponsor, and our premier sponsor is the Maryland State Arts Council. And the city of Annapolis has also been very supportive. So we just want to say
so
that.
Has the Maryland so has the Maryland Film Commission. But that's also Maryland Film Office has been supportive as well.
Right.
Jack.
And, donations have been down, but if people can support the festival, if they can do it, then they should. We need it, especially if you want to come back big for our 10th anniversary live festival next year.
10th anniversary. Right. That seems crazy. Does that seem crazy to you?
Is.
Because it just seems like yesterday.
Well, because you've been there since the beginning, Donna.
I will say, Donna, from my perspective, it's been a tough year. It's been a rewarding year in some ways. It's very, very difficult to program a virtual film festival when there aren't a lot of films and you still want to keep your caliber up. That's been a real challenge, but I think we've met it and exceeded what we had hoped for, what we had hoped for. So that part is working out. But it's not easy. People think, well, maybe since they don't have a festival and not doing all these parties and they're not doing all this, it must be a lot easier to put together. Operationally,
no,
yes.
Really.
But systematically, having to get on a new platform like Eventive and learn a whole system and have ticketing and bring all that in along with this kind of programming, very complicated and layered, not easy. But, I think we've learned a lot, and we've also had to cope like everybody else with being locked down and separated from each other. A lot of it has been not together. And so it's difficult. And we're looking forward to our 10th year when maybe that can be our celebratory comeback of our festival, bring everybody together, bring industry and guests in and have a blowout and a lot of fun. And it can be safe and healthy.
Yeah, I do wonder, though, in year 10, are we going to be seeing films about the pandemic?
You know what? I think we're a little pandemic out and screened out, and I think what we're hearing is that people are really missing the feeling of community that the festival generates every year. It's so sad to not be in the streets going to grab a glass of wine or something to eat and say, let's talk about what did you see and what should I see, and being at parties and just seeing people you haven't seen all year come out for the festival. So I think there will be a huge celebration of just the ability to gather safely.
Yeah, after the flu of 1918, we then went into the roaring 20s with the flappers and with the drinking and with the you name it. And so I've also... Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
so here we go, are looking forward to 2022, now. Right?
Right. They're calling it the soaring 20s. It's supposed to happen. So we just don't know how far into the 20s before we get to soar.
All right. I have a feeling 2022 will be our year of living happily once again. I hope, at least. I think we all do.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Again, it's the AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. You can buy your passes, your individual tickets. You can find all the movies. You do have to register in advance for each of the films, so make sure to look at the programming. And what am I missing?
Well, you're missing that not every film is up the whole time for 10 days. I just want to reinforce that to people. So just check the schedule and make sure you know when the films are available. Some are for 24 or 48 hours, some are 5 days, some are all 10 days. So just pay very close attention. It's very well marked. And just dive in. Dive in and enjoy. This is all brand new, fresh content that you may or may not even see anywhere else.
Thank you both.
And don't be worried by the way, don't be worried if you haven't signed up ahead of time and you're worried, well, I can't see a film. Go in and try, because most likely there could be a film available to you on any given day. So don't let that turn you away.
Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you, Donna, for having us.
This is Donna Cole. This is the 1430 Connection. We will see you next week.